Yeah, hi students. So in the last video we covered the X-ray spectrum, and in that we discussed both continuous and characteristic X-ray spectrum. So in this continuous X-ray spectrum, the wavelength of radiation that X-rays we get or we are observed in that based on the operating potential. When you modify that operating potential, then the wavelength can be altered. It does not depends on the target material, right? So here we can get the X-rays in that what is the wavelength? The wavelength of X-rays can be depends on the operating potential or exerted potential that is observed in case of this continuous X-ray spectrum. Whereas coming to this characteristic X-ray spectrum, in this the wavelength of characteristic X-ray spectrum is does not depends on the exerting potential. It is depends on nature of the target material. So that is the characteristic property of the target. Accordingly, the wavelength can be modified, where the mass number can be changed. There you can be observed there is a change in the wavelength associated for the characteristic X-ray spectrum, right? So now here coming to this X-ray intensity. So intensity of X-rays. So intensity of X-rays depends on how many number of the electrons made striking the target material. That is the number of electrons made collision with the target. Accordingly, the intensity of X-rays can be depends. So here the intensity of X-rays it is depends on number of electrons striking the target. Number of electrons striking the target. Okay, but how these number of electrons we can get? From the filament. From the filament we can get this number of electrons. If number of electrons are more, the intensity of X-rays is also more. That means you want to increase the intensity of X-rays. What do you have to do? You have to increase the number of electrons which are ejected or emitted from the filament. That means the filament current can produces more number of electrons. If you increases the filament current, number of electrons from that filament can be emitted more, and those number of electrons are striking the target. Therefore, you can get the intensity of X-rays are increases. So here the intensity is depends on number of electrons, and these number of electrons are depends on filament current. So how much amount of the current is passing from the filament? So based on these, we can get the number of electrons can be emitted from the filament. If those number of electrons are more and more striking the target, you can get the intensity of X-rays also more or large. So that is here, this intensity is depends on which one? That is filament current, right? So that is one observation. And next one is penetrating power. Penetrating powers of X-rays. So that is if you are having penetrating power of X-rays. So the penetrating power of X-rays, it is related to the energy, the kinetic energy acquired by the electrons before striking the target material. So how you can be increase the kinetic energy of that electrons? By accelerating potential. So when you are increases the accelerating potential, there you can be observed to be increased. The more amount of the energy can be possessed by the electrons which are emitted, where the kinetic energy can be lost. More kinetic energy lost, that loss of kinetic energy is converted to X-rays, and in that X-rays we can have more amount of energy, so that they can be penetrated through the certain amount of the thickness of the sheets also by these X-rays. So in order to increase in the penetrating power of X-rays, what you have to do? You have to increase the kinetic energy of emitted electrons. So for kinetic energy of emitted electrons, you have to increase the value. For this kinetic energy of emitted electrons, which is depends on accelerating potential or operating potential. So when you are changes this accelerating potential or increases this accelerating potential, the kinetic energy of electrons also increases. Once the kinetic energy increases, what you can get? The energy of X-rays increases, which represents the penetrating power of X-rays can be reached. right? So penetrating power is depends on which one? Accelerating potential. But intensity of X-rays depends on not on this accelerating potential. It depends on filament current, right? So these 2 points you remember. The penetrating power is related to energy of X-rays. That energy of X-rays is nothing but the maximum amount of kinetic energy of the emitted electrons can be lost during the striking of the target material. How much amount of the energy lost by that electrons with respect to their kinetic energy, that much amount of the energy can be get in the X-rays. With that X-rays, the penetrating power will be higher, right? So that is observed related to energy, which is related to this accelerating potential or operating potential, right? So intensity is related to filament current, and penetrating power is related to accelerating potential, right? So this is the important points. These two you have to remember related to these X-rays. So from this we can conclude the X-rays topic, right? What are X-rays? How they can be produced? What are the properties? And what is the spectrum? That means wavelengths you can be getting that X-rays coming out of that target material. Those we can discuss continuous and characteristic. So right, that graphs also we can be observed. In characteristic X-ray spectrum, we are getting the line along with the continuous. The spikes can be observed when you draw the graph between the intensity versus wavelength. So that is, we can be observed in characteristic X-ray spectrum, and wavelength of the characteristic X-ray spectrum is purely depends on, it is the nature of the target material. It is independent of accelerating potential. Right, it is a characteristic property of that target. You can be having that wavelength in the characteristic X-ray spectrum. Right, so that is we discuss in this X-rays topic. Okay, with this we can be conclude this one. Now we can be having the other topic. After this we have that is important for especially for JEE, JEE, that is who are going towards engineering. It is the very important here. That is Moseley law. You might be come across this one in your chemistry part also. That is here you can have here Moseley's law. So what is a statement, what is its equation, and what is its importance? Correct. What is a Moseley's law? So Moseley's law states that the square root of frequency of characteristic X-rays, the square root of frequency of characteristic X-rays is directly proportional to atomic number of the target. So that is here Z minus B. Here square root of frequency of characteristic X-rays directly proportional to atomic number of the target material, where B is constant, right? So this is given by the Moseley, and from this you can read here square root of frequency of characteristic X-ray spectrum is equal to proportionality constant A into Z minus B. So this is the equation for the Moseley's law, where here you can be having Z is atomic number of target material. It is atomic number of target, and A comma B are constants. So A is a constant for all series that you can be observed, any type of series where to where that electron transition can be takes place in your characteristic X-rays, and B is a screening constant. So this B value is depends upon the series where to where that electron made a transition. So this B value is 1 for K series. That means if the electrons are made transition into the K shell from the higher energy level in the characteristic X-ray spectrum. So there B value is 1 for K series, and B value is 7.4 for L series, and B is equal to 9 for M series. So this value B value is depends upon the transition of electrons into the which shell, that is depends upon the series B value modified. But whereas you can be observed this A value is a constant for irrespective of any series where the transition of electrons made, right? So this equation what it is called is it is a Moseley's law. So if you observe this graph drawn between the square root of frequency with a Z, that is atomic number of the target, where A comma B are constants. So there you can be observed this is a variable, this is a constant, and here intercept is not there 0. That means here you can be observed based on the B value, right? Based on the B value, there is a graph you can be get. That graph is a straight line. This equation is a straight line equation. So if you draw the graph between square root of frequency versus atomic number graph, if you drawn, you can be expected to get a straight line. So that is here, you can observe the graph comes like this here. This is square root of frequency. Here it is atomic number Z along the x-axis. This is a y-axis. Along that we have taken the square root of frequency. Now here you can be having a graph, a straight line you can get. So this straight line is up to here, the b value will comes to be 1. And here it is a k series. So this line maybe you can be draw, it is a k alpha line. One more line you can be draw, this where it will be intersect. So one more line you can be having here, they will be intersected same. This is a k beta. Like if you go for the b is equal to 7 point, this value 4. So there from here to here the 7.4, there you can be observed that again straight line, but that is for L series you can be get. So here this is a 7.4. So there you can be observed to be having here, this is so L alpha where it will be striking, and let it be this one is again it is L beta. The slope of these k beta is greater than k alpha. The slope of k alpha is greater than this L series. For L series, you will be having the slopes will be less compared to the K series. So that type of observation you can be we can be see by calculating the slopes also. Now you can be observed whenever the graph is drawn between these square root of frequency versus atomic number, you will get a straight line. And where you can be observed, this straight line is not passing from the origin, because here we can be observed to be having there is a Z minus B. So here we are taking the Z. But Z is a different for different value series. I said it is a K series. What is Z value? 1. So where the B is equal to 1 is there here, that is up to here the value is Z minus 1. So there you can get this K series. So up to here you can be observed Z minus 7.4, that is a B. For L series, there you can get the straight line. So like this you can be observed the straight line you can be expected to get when you draw the graph between square root of frequency versus atomic number of the target material. So that is this graph is we can be drawn by using this equation. Right. Now you can be observed or you can be compare this value or what is the wavelength in any one of these series that we can be calculated. So what is the wavelength or what is the frequency which is produced during this k alpha or k beta or L alpha or L beta by using this equation. Just observe to be having your days when you make the squaring on both sides, then frequency is equal to S square into what you can be observed, Z minus B whole square you can be getting. So frequency value you can be determined, right? So now you can be observed here by using this wave number equation. If you are applied that transition, so that is a spectral series, hydrogen spectral series equation where the wavelength of the emitted radiation can be calculated by using the wave number formula, right? Apply that wave number formula here itself. That is here I can write by wave number equation. So that we can write here it is, what is it? Nu bar is equal to, it is R Z square. Here Z is a Z effective square into 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. It is their meter inverse, right? So this can be written as 1 upon lambda. I can write it as multiply both sides LHS RHS with C. So I can put here it is C by lambda. This value is a RCZ effective square into 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. So this is what you can be getting. C by lambda is nothing but what? Frequency. So now I can write this one is frequency is given by here it is nu is equal to. So what you can be observed to be having here it is nu is equal to RC into Z effective is nothing but Z minus B whole square 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. So this is the equation for frequency we got up. So the characteristic X-ray spectrum, in that what is the frequency of that X-rays, that we can be calculated by using this equation where N1 N2 just substitute here. If it is the transition is made from the higher energy level from where to where, let it be, if you see this, this is the K, this is L, this is M, N. Like this you can be having up to these energies will be, it is a 0 and this is the maximum, whatever it is 20 kilo electron volts. So now you can be having this transition into K shell. This is what it is called as a K alpha. So this one is a K beta. This one is L alpha. This one is L beta. Right. So in this transition, what is the value of which one? The frequency emitted during this transition from electron from where to where? N2 is 2, N1 is 1. So 2 to 1 made a transition. If you substitute here, N1 is 1 for K series. And for K series, B value also we know. So now if you go for the respective series, I am considering here it is a K series. For K series, you can be observed here, N1 is 1, N2 is 2. If you are taken, that is for K alpha line. For K series, N1 is fixed. And this N2 is 2, 3, 4 and so on. Correct? Now in this case, and for K series, we know what is the B value also, it is 1. Now this N1, N2, let it be first one when you taken, that is K alpha line. What is the frequency in that radiation for that characteristic X-rays? That we can be calculated by using this equation here. That is what you can be observed to get here. That is, this one will be frequency nu is equal to RC into Z minus 1. Here 1 by 1 square minus 1 by 2 square. So this is frequency is equal to RC into this square is Z minus 1 square. Here it is 1 minus 1 by 4, it will become, it is a 3 by 4. So that means I can write this one is mu is equal to 3 by 4 times of RC into Z minus 1 whole square. That is what you can get. So you can be having the compare this equation with respect to this. So here it is, you can take the square root or squaring on both sides if you make this one. That means what you can get this equation, it will become as what you can do this here. This is equation 1. Now you can add here nu is equal to square of, made this equation to be square. So square of this one is, square root will be cancelled LHS. It is become as a square into Z minus 1 whole square. Make it second equation. See the slope. What is the slope of the graph for the K alpha line? That is nothing but it is A only. But A is equal to here, what is the value you can get? So this A is equal to, compare this 1 and 2 equations. What you can be observed to be having here is A square. But A is equal to the square root of 3 by 4 times of RC. So here the slope is given by square root of 3 by 4 times of RC. So this is the slope for K alpha line. If you go for the K beta line, this slope will be somewhat more. So like this it will be goes on increases, right? So the value of slope of each series will be more compared to the L, K will be more. So if you go for the M, that will be still lower slope compared to L. So when you are going for this K, L, M, N series, the slopes will be decreasing. The highest will be observed to be having it is K series, and in that the highest one will be goes on, it will be increases. That is K alpha, K beta, K gamma. The K series where you can be observed these higher order transitions having the more slope. If it is asking the series, K series will be having the highest slope. For drawing the graph between these root frequency, square root of frequency versus atomic number, when you draw the graph, there the straight lines can be obtained for the respective series. K series will be having the highest slope compared to the remaining series, and in that K series also you can be having the that gamma or delta, that is higher order transition of electrons will be having the more slopes. That you can be observed by using this calculation will be made with respect to this wave number equation. We just made compare this equation with respect to the equation given by the Moseley. There we can be find out what is the slope acquired for the respective line, K alpha line or K beta line or L alpha line or L beta line, depends upon the substitution of this N1, N2 and B value into the Moseley's formula and comparing with the wave number equation. There you can be get the that slope value, right? So this is just application part related to this Moseley's law. What is the Moseley law and what is the graph obtained between the square root of frequency versus atomic number of the target material, and you can be observed to be having what is the slope of these graphs and which series will be having the slope is large, and how you can be determined that slope value with respect to the comparison of that wave number equation and Moseley's equation. Comparing both, you can be get the slope of that straight lines also, right? So in this way we can be having this observation here. There is a relation with respect to the atomic number versus the frequency emitted by that characteristic X-ray spectrum. So atomic number is changed for the target material. That means the nature of the target is changed. There the frequency emitted in that X-rays also changed, and that is observed by the Moseley and given this statement and equation for Mosley law. Right? For characteristic X-rays. So this is what you can be observed. Important one. This Mosley's law is important, especially for JEE, that is who are interested towards the engineering. And for NEET also it is important, but its syllabus it is not covered this year maybe. Right? Anyways, so this is Mosley's law. And next one you can be having, there is one more concept or topic is there, which is related to the particle nature of the light. That is, radiations has a dual nature, that is a particle nature as well as wave nature. So photoelectric effect, it is a particle nature of the light or radiation. There is one more effect is there, Compton effect. That Compton effect also gives you the particle nature for the radiation. So what is the Compton effect and what is the information or observation related to that Compton effect, and is provided some equation also. What is that equation? So we will see that now. So now here the another one is Compton effect. That is H. Compton, 1923. He observed whenever radiation or sound or any particle is moving with certain velocity, if they are influenced by any external forces or if they are interacted with the particles of the medium, they will be changes their direction. They will be deviated. So that process is called scattering. So scattering of light or scattering of sound or scattering of the particle. Scattering means the deflection or the deviation of that particle or light or sound with the interaction of the particles in the medium. That is called as the scattering. Here also this H. Compton is observed. When these X-rays are made interaction with certain materials or any solid material interacted, there these X-rays can be deviated their direction, and when once these X-rays are nothing but radiations which are having the photons only, light only. So these light radiations are falling on that any solid material. From that the light or the X-rays can be deflected, and a part of energy of X-rays are absorbed by the electrons in the target material, atoms of the target material. So they will be getting the recoil of electron, and also there is a scattering of light, that is X-rays you can be observed. There is important observation given by this Compton. What is that? So that Compton is given an important information about these scattered X-rays or photons. So that is given by here, it is Compton effect. Compton effect. Okay, that is his name is H. Compton. The scientist name H. Compton in 1923. He observed that a photonic radiation, incident radiation, made interact with a material like graphite. This is the actual direction of this photon. This is the actual direction of the photon. But once made interacted with this matter, this matter is a graphite, and this photon having the energy is E, that is given by h nu. And once these photons are made interaction with this matter, that is graphite, these photons are gets deflected. They will made scattered. So this is what you can be observed, scattered photon. Scattered photon having the energy is E dash, which is equal to h nu dash. And this is also can be written as hc by lambda. This can also be written as hc by lambda dash. And there will be, you are getting one more is, that is called as a recoil electron, recoil of electron, because of the interaction of this photon with this matter, that is a graphite, where it can be observed to be having the electrons of the atom of this graphite can be absorb certain amount of energy of this photon. Because of that, the electron can be gets deflected, or electron can be acquired, that it can be recoil. Recoil means it can be moves in the opposite direction of this photon motion. Okay, that is recoil of electron can be absorbed. And here it is, there is a photon. This radiation can be deviated, and the initial direction is this one, but it will be coming in this direction, scattered photon. So the angle is, we can be call it is a scattering angle, which is represented by phi. So this is a recoiling angle, makes the angle theta with respect to initial direction of photon. Correct? Now here, this Compton is observed that some of the energy of this photon is taken by this electron. Because of that, the electron gets a recoil. That means this energy is less than the incident energy. So here it is, a Compton effect is nothing but the scattered photon has the wavelength is greater than that incident photon. When that incident photon is made interacted with the any matter after scattered, the scattered photon has the greater wavelengths compared with that incident photon. Right? So this observation done by this Compton, and this change in the wavelength of the scattered photon, and that it is the greater compared with the wavelength of this incident photon. So that greater photon is observed for greater wavelength is observed for this scattered photon, and comparing with respect to the wavelength of this incident photon. So that changes observation given by this Compton, and that process is called as a Compton effect. Whenever this X-ray photon is made interacted with a matter, there the X-rays gets scattered. The scattered X-rays are having the greater wavelength than incident wavelength of the X-rays. This process is called as a Compton effect. Right? If it is changes the wavelength, here we are getting the changes the wavelength for the scattered photon, which is greater than compared with respect to wavelength of the incident photon. So this is observed, which is called as a incoherent scattering. Incoherent scattering means there are two types of scatterings are there: coherent scattering, incoherent scattering. So that is coherent scattering means after scattering also that photon will be having the same wavelength as that of the incident photon. That is called as the coherent scattering. The scattering in which scattered photon, incident photon both are having the same wavelength. Therefore, that type of scattering is called as a coherent scattering. But whereas one more scattering is there, incoherent scattering. The scattering process where the scattered photon is having the higher wavelength compared with the incident photon, which is called as the incoherent scattering. Here this is observed incoherent scattering, and this effect is called as the Compton effect. Right? It is observed by this person. His name is Compton. Because of this process is called Compton effect. So in Compton effect, what you can be observed? The scattered photon is having the greater wavelength compared with incident photon. Right? So this process is called as the Compton effect. And in this, there is a difference in the wavelengths. The difference in the wavelengths of these scattered to the incident. Already we can be say that, or we are observed that scattered photon has a longer wavelength or greater wavelength compared with respect to incident wavelength. So the difference in these wavelengths is called as the Compton shift. So that I can write here, it is a Compton shift delta lambda, which is given by lambda dash minus lambda. So which is called as a Compton shift. So this Compton shift is by applying the conservation of energy and momentum, it is derived, and it is given by delta lambda is equal to hc by m naught into 1 minus cos phi. So this is the equation for the Compton shift. So Compton shift is given by hc by m naught into 1 minus cos phi, where h is Planck's constant, c is the velocity of light, m naught is rest to mass of electron or rest to mass of photon. Rest to mass of photon is m naught. That is, you can be observed this rest to mass of photon is 0 generally, but it is for electron. Recoil electron is there, no? That is, you can be having rest to mass of electron. And 1 minus cos phi. Phi is a scattering angle here, this one. So with respect to the scattering angle, the Compton shift can be modified because these values are constant. Mass, rest to mass of the electron is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. That is the charge, and mass is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. And HC values are constant. So if you are putting these, except this phi value, these phi values are different for different scattering with respect to this matter by these X-rays. So according to this scattering angle, that Compton shift can be modified. So in this, if you taken, if scattering angle is 90 degrees, that means after this interaction of this X-ray photon with this matter, that is a graphite, if this scattered photon is made here in this direction, let it be, it is 90 degrees. If it is equal to 90 degrees, if it is makes the direction will be in this direction or maybe in this direction. So there you can be observed if the phi value is 90. So cos 90 is 0. Then what you can get the delta lambda. So the delta lambda is given by it is how much it is? It is HC by m naught. So if you have substituted all and converted into that angstrom units, it will become as 0.024 angstrom units you can make it. So this is the shift, Compton shift can be observed, which is called as a Compton shift value, where you can be observed this scattering angle is 90 degrees, right? And now what is the maximum Compton shift you can be expected to get here? The maximum Compton shift you can be get here, it is a cos of 180. Cos 180 is, that is scattering angle. That means the scattered photon is, it is retraced in the opposite direction of initial direction of this incident photon. So that means here, if you can be get phi is equal to 180, there you can get the Compton shift is given by delta lambda is equal to, you can make it, it is a minus 1 into minus, it will plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2, double that means you can write here 2 times of HC by m naught. That is nothing but delta lambda is equal to 0.048 angstrom units. So this is the maximum Compton shift you can be get. So this is you can be observed to be having the value where the scattering angle is 90, you can be observed to get that. Correct? This is what you can be observed here. It is, suppose scattering angle is 0. That is this is the first one. This is second one. If it is the third case, if you see phi is equal to, if scattering angle is equal to 0, then cos 0 is 1. Here it is a 1, 1 minus 1, 0. That means what is the delta lambda? That is Compton shift is 0. That means there is no scattering can be takes place here. There is no Compton effect is observed here. Whenever this scattering angle is 0, means that scattered photon and incident photon both are along same direction. In that case, Compton effect does not exist. Right? So these are the observation you can be remember here. And one more point in this, the Compton shift delta lambda, this Compton shift is depends on what factors? It is depends only on scattering angle. So here the delta lambda or Compton shift depends, it is depends on only scattering angle phi. This is what you can be observed that point. And next one, this Compton shift is does not depends on the target material, nature of the target material, and this Compton shift is does not depends on this frequency of incident radiation or energy or frequency of incident radiation. So this Compton shift is independent of nature of the target. So here delta lambda, it is independent of nature of target, and this delta lambda, that is Compton shift, is also independent of frequency of incident photon, right? So it is independent of incident photon. So these are the points you have to remember related to this Compton shift. What is the Compton effect and what is the Compton shift? What is its minimum value, maximum value, and depends upon the scattering angle, you can be get the Compton shift value can be changes. That is Compton shift is nothing but the difference between the wavelength of the scattered photon with respect to the wavelength of incident photon is known as Compton shift. So that Compton shift is determined and it is purely depends only on one factor, that is called scattering angle, right? Okay, this is what you can be observed. So today's class. Okay, signing off.